All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA DFS video, doing another live stream here for this Wednesday, 8-game slate. If you guys enjoy the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. Trying to test out if live streams are going to be more of the way to go for the NBA DFS content. So let us know by, leaving a thumbs up, whether that be during this live stream or after the video is posted. Also want to remind you guys that any of the tools that you see in this video are going to be available by clicking the links in the description below at Occupy Fantasy, but going to be doing all the same stuff that we typically would be. Touched on the injury news, touched on the top values from the injury news, going over the ownership projections, where are people ending up on, and then also giving you guys kind of a first look build. Obviously, throughout the day, that'll change. If it does, just make sure to be in the Discord chat. And if you guys have any questions during the live stream, I'll be going through and answering those at the end of each segment. And so I'll actually be able to pop those up as well. So yeah, we'll go ahead and see. Let's go ahead and get into the injury news. So looking at the injury situation, I think we could potentially just start at maybe Devin Booker and then also, campaign. Those players are both still going to be out. So let's go ahead and look at that. Let me get the screen set up real quick. There we go. All right, I got it pulled up. All right, let's get back into it. So looking at it, I think we can look at potentially Washington once again. So Devin Booker, we know he's going to be out. Campaign could potentially be back. I don't think he's going to be back. So with that, I think Washington Jr. could be a decent price point play once again. Obviously with him, you're not expecting a huge game like last night. 46 DK points was great. Shot the ball a ton. Obviously, you like that. 21 shot attempts last night, 15 shot attempts the previous night. That is all great and good. We love that. But I think if we can get 18 DK points out of him, that is really what we should be expecting. And if we do get that, that is going to be good. Let me go ahead and pull up the model, see what he's projected to get as well, minutes-wise. So about 10, okay? So I would expect that number to be closer to 20 tonight. But that's also something we got to wait and see on. Obviously, it's early on in the day. That's just something we need to wait on. But if we do get that news, if we get news that Booker and Payne are still out, then he should be a decent value play, especially as it sits right now. Something that I think we can look at. Another injury situation that we need to watch for is going to be Curry. Obviously, he's probably going to be sitting. Clay most likely going to be out, and then Wiggins as well. So with that, which players would we be looking at for the Golden State Warriors? And there should be a lot of value on the slate with the Warriors. The issue is like Jordan Poole hasn't really been doing anything with those players out. That's the biggest worry I have, is that Jordan Poole, you would want him to do more, and that just hasn't happened just yet. Okay. Can he get to 40 fantasy points? Can he get to 50? Sure. Especially against Utah. That is going to be more of a favorable matchup. Just hasn't happened yet. So maybe instead of him, we would look at Ty Jerome or one of the other players. And that's kind of the issue, is that everything is kind of spread out production-wise. There's not like a significant spike in anyone. They're all kind of just decent plays, especially given their price point. So I think we can be looking at any of them without really going out of our way to play all of them. Like, they're all decent plays, but it's tough to really say you need to play this guy with Wiggins, Curry, and Clay out, because they have just kind of been spreading the minutes and thus the production. So from there, I do think a big injury news situation that we could be looking at on this slate is the fact that Trae Young could potentially sit. He is someone that left last night's game in the fourth quarter. And, that is kind of what worries me, is that he left it in the fourth quarter. And it could just be a situation where, because it was the fourth quarter, he didn't come back in the game. Whereas if the injury occurred at the beginning of the game, he probably would have came back. We don't really know that just yet. But I typically tend to think that when a player, misses part of a game, has to leave the game, and doesn't return, then they're going to sit out the next game, especially when it's the back end of a back-to-back. So if he does sit, then I think we'd be looking at DeJounte Murray to be a good price point play, especially in the fact that Clint Capella is out as well. So with those two off the court, Murray has a 30% usage rate and averages about 43 fantasy points per 36 with those two off the court. So obviously that's going to be appealing there. From there, we could be looking at kind of the player that was a little bit too chalky, I thought, last night, Okonkwo. Anika is a very interesting play. The last two games has been in foul trouble, okay? And I would say that was the biggest reason as to why he didn't hit value. Was close to getting a double-double. If he gets, let's just say, another rotation in there, closer to 30 minutes, then yes, he probably does have a great game. And I would say that's kind of the approach to go with on tonight's slate is go ahead and play him tonight. I think the ownership will be lower than it should be now. The pivot with John Collins last night will probably be a little bit too chalky now. So I kind of like going the other way is pretty much it. Both Collins and Nika should be decent plays regardless, but I kind of like going with the Nika a little bit more on this slate now. And then just looking at as well, if Trae Young sits, Aaron Holiday would be a decent play, as well as AJ Griffin. They're both a little bit too cheap, given the production that they would see with Trae Young off the court. And then some other injury news that we need to wait on is I think we could potentially see LeBron sit. If he sits, then we're just looking at Westbrook. Would be an easy play there. Marvin Bagley as well. Not seeing him popped up on the injury sheet, but Bagley is someone that is most likely going to sit tonight. And I say that because even when a player has the out tag, we know that doesn't really mean much, because come lineup lock or come game time when the starting lineups come out, sometimes players are ruled active. But with him out, maybe Isaiah Stewart gets a little bit more run. He could get to 30 minutes and be productive. That could easily happen. But I like Jalen Duren a little bit more. It's kind of why I made him the cover boy. Obviously, been getting a lot more minutes recently. And given the fact that Bagley's out, those 20 minutes are going to be spread amongst probably him and also Stewart. But with that, I think we can project Duren to get probably around 30 to 36 minutes. I'm curious as to what the model has him listed at minutes-wise. 34 minutes. So yes, if we can get 34 minutes out of him, that is going to be huge, guys. With Bagley off the court, Duren does have about a 13% usage rate, and his fantasy point total per 36 is 32. So if we can get around 35, 36 minutes, we should be getting around 30 fantasy points, which obviously is going to be huge. I think he's someone that we could potentially look at on DraftKings. I'll pull him up here on the FanDuel value report shortly as well to see if he is someone that we should be looking at on FanDuel as well. That's really it for like big injury news that we haven't seen lately. We got, I guess, Sabonis as well. We'll touch on this. So Sabonis missed last night's game, and we got to see if he's going to miss tonight's game as well. The news is that he's going to try to play through his injury. Okay, obviously sat out last night. I'm wondering if that was because it was the front end of a back-to-back and he is injured and they just didn't want him to play in both games. But then again, it is a thumb injury. Like, if he's going to play through it. Like, back-to-back really shouldn't matter. It's not like it's a leg injury or something like that where you need your minutes restricted and whatnot to get healthy. So kind of strange there. And with that, like, if he sat out last night, I kind of expect him to sit out tonight as well. But like I said, kind of strange that he is sitting out with him being expected to play through this injury. So kind of weird stuff there. But once again, if he sits, I think we got some good Kings value out there. And a lot of people are trying to go Alex Len. I was like, I don't think it's going to be him. I think like Trey Lyles would be the route to go. That ended up being true. Trey Lyles, the last two games, has seen over 20 minutes now and gotten over 20 fantasy points. Obviously, that's great. That's good production. If we get news that Sabonis is going to sit again, I do think we are going to be looking at Trey Lyles again. I think we can project him to get around 20 minutes, thus around 20 DK points. And I'm going to go ahead and pull him up as well on the model as well. And this is something that I'd be surprised if he's projected to get a lot of minutes as it sits right now. Okay, about 17 minutes or so. So if he does that, he should still be able to get to hit value at his price point. So not a terrible play if he only gets 17 minutes. But if he gets 7 more minutes in that 24 minutes, going to be a very strong price point play. And that's honestly my biggest worry here, is that it is a back end of a back-to-back. Sometimes the rotations get a little bit thrown off then. So it makes it a little bit harder to predict, especially in a situation like this. De'Aaron Fox, I'd be fine with as a play. Kind of struggled last night. Really just had 5 turnovers. Didn't have a lot of rebounds. Assists were down a little bit as well. Could have easily had a much better game than that, is a simple way to put it. It wouldn't be shocking to see him put up 40 fantasy points again tonight. So I do think he's going to be a fine play. Malik Monk is someone that does benefit with Sabonis off, but he didn't have a good night shooting. So thus he really didn't have a good DFS night as well. So, more GPP plays there. All right, but that's pretty much it for injury news. AD still out. Bron could sit. Towns still out. I think the biggest one would be the next biggest injury news would be if Kyle Anderson sits, then Jaden McDaniels is still going to be a decent play, price point play. So I don't mind that as well. All right. And then, yeah, so no questions yet. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the next segment. Going to touch on the top values on the slate. Let me click off of this. There we go. All right. So looking at the top FanDuel values on this slate to start with, Pat Connaughton really popping up there. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. Pat Connaughton is more of a GPP only play. The reason you play Pat Connaughton is to hope that he gets hot shooting the basketball from 3-point. He's probably going to shoot around 4 3-pointers. If he makes all of them, he's going to be hitting value for you. That's really what he is as a play, is chasing someone that can easily get hot shooting the basketball. Someone that maybe 15% of the time is really going to go off and really benefit you lineup wise. And then the other times, just probably 50% of those times going to be okay. And then the rest not going to help you. So I don't mind him. I think we're going to get better value though. I would say Trey Lyles, I think, would be a better value once we get news that he's going to be gaining a lot of minutes. I think Washington as well would be a better value route. But as it sits right now, he's not terrible. Not terrible. Torrey Craig, kind of same thing. Not a terrible play. Not someone I'm particularly going on my way to play, but can he put up 30 fantasy points? Sure. I don't mind that. Bogdanovich is actually someone that would benefit a lot if Trae Young were to sit as well. Has the most minutes with him off the court. Probably going to put up around 30 fantasy points as well. Okay. Isaiah Stewart. So the model is liking Stewart a little bit better than Duren. They are kind of similar plays. I would say, let's look at the price points. Yeah, I would say on both, I would kind of switch this. I think I would rather go Duren than Stewart, although it is close. Even price point wise, the price difference isn't that much on both. $300 price difference between DraftKings on FanDuel for both of them. I think I'd rather go Duren though. Ayton's still popping up there. Ayton should be a good price point play. It just hasn't been happening. A great GPP play. I feel like he's tough to play in cash. Now, Jamal Murray is someone that I kind of expect to be on a better streak throughout the tail end of this season. Let me go ahead and see what he did in his previous game because I don't remember off the top of my head. Okay, yes. Okay, against the Kings, did have a good game. So that's 3 straight really good games, and obviously he's going against the Kings again. That's going to be highly appealing then. 7.2, a very cheap price point for someone that could easily go for 40 fantasy points. That's a cheap price tag on DraftKings. It's also a pretty cheap price tag on FanDuel. So yeah, an intriguing play there for sure. And then from there, let's see anyone else really popping up there. Not too much. I mean, these are all fine plays. Let's go ahead and look at DraftKings value. So Stewart popping up there, Torrey Craig popping up there, Duren popping up there a little bit more. Yeah, Grayson Allen, man, that's kind of crazy. Grayson Allen about the same price point as Pat Connaughton. I would definitely like Grayson a little bit more consistent there. And Nika popping up there a little bit more on DraftKings. Naz Reid, I mean, this is a crazy price tag difference. Not horrible. Can be someone that's productive in limited minutes. Let's see what the minutes are for him, actually. 25. Yeah, if he can get 25 minutes, Naz Reid could easily hit value at that. That's pretty good there. Kyrie, I like. Guys, Kyrie could be a safe 40 fantasy points. And he's not too much more expensive on FanDuel as well. So someone I think is definitely going to be in play on this site. I like the idea of going with DeJounte Murray with Trae Young out. But at the same time, Kyrie is more safe, more proven lately. Been on a great streak. It would almost make more sense to go with Kyrie, I think, in that sense. And then Jaden McDaniels popping up there as well. I was a little bit shocked that TJ Warren wasn't popping up a little bit more in general. Let's see the minutes here. 20 minutes. And that's probably why. If he can get 25 minutes or so, would be a very strong price point play, I think, especially on DraftKings. Can he break the slate like he did on the previous one? Probably not, but if we can get 25 fantasy points of him, that's not terrible. I would say on FanDuel, can't play him. On DraftKings, a very strong price point play. And that's it. Let me just look at the OF index, see who's really popping up the most. Jokic, Giannis. What I like is that No one's 12K. Okay. That's very nice of them. So yeah, we can see Kyrie Irving. It's kind of like a standout play. It would be DeAndre Ayton as well, and then Murray. Those are kind of like starting points, is what the model is trying to tell us right here. So, I do agree with that. So let me check out, see if there's any questions here. None just yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into the next section here. We're going to be talking about ownership, projected ownership for the slate as it sits right now. Okay. So looking at it right now, a lot of people are going with Stewart over Duran, although it's not that much. We could easily see that flip flop, and I would say that's kind of the right approach, is to maybe go one or the other. I do agree with that. With Jokic and Giannis being kind of softer price, you could probably fit both of them into a build, and I think that's a route that a lot of people are going to go. We can see Kyrie still pretty cheap, and people are jumping on that as well. In general, people are jumping on that Detroit value that's out there. So I would agree with that. That's probably going to be the correct approach. I was thinking that John Collins would be higher owned than Anika, but that's not a big difference, 2%. So nothing too crazy there. And we're not seeing anyone like crazy chalky right now as it sits. See anyone else popping at their pool? Not too high owned. Probably correct. Pat Bev, I don't know about that. And this will be interesting. Like I would assume Westbrook would be like 30% owned if we do get news that LeBron's going to sit on the back end of a back-to-back. And if he does play, I would kind of expect LeBron to be higher owned than this as well. I think that's part of the reason why both of them are a little bit low right now. I mean, Westbrook's would probably stay the same, but LeBron's would probably spike up. Just kind of going through it, seeing if there's anything else that we could probably jump on. Like TJ Warren, I do think he should probably be a little bit higher on than that. Trey Lyles, let's see where he's at. 0. So no one's loving him just yet. And that's, once again, it's early. That's injury news dependent, So let's go ahead and look at FanDuel. All right, so what is this telling us right off the bat? That people are starting their builds out by going Giannis, by going Porzingis, and Kyrie, just right off the bat. So let's go ahead and sort it by ownership, projected ownership. Kuminga really popping up there. I'm not going to say that's wrong. That is a cheap price tag for Kuminga. Pat Connaughton, I need to pull this up, guys. Like, okay, I'm not missing anything. Okay. I was wondering if I was missing something. I mean, playing a decent amount of minutes. It's not like he's too egregiously underpriced, though. I would say 4K is a proper price tag for him. Matchup's fine. Last time out against Chicago, didn't play well. I mean, he is shooting the ball better now. That's great. We love that. But yeah, really just a player that you would play hoping that he shoots the ball well. I don't know. That's a little bit strange to me. Shouldn't be chalk. He's someone that you play if you need to. Not someone you're going out of your way to play. Jordan Poole, a little bit higher owned. I mean, this is the proper price tag for Jordan Poole. This is probably, he is priced where he should finish pretty much with DFS points wise. Priced correctly on FanDuel. On DraftKings, definitely a little bit overpriced. So it does make sense to kind of chase the upside on FanDuel with Jordan Poole. I like that approach. Malik Monk, kind of same thing. With Sabonis out, he has some of that benefits. Makes a lot of sense to go with him on FanDuel. So I like the ownership projections for FanDuel. This feels like who's ever putting in these ownerships right now has a better grasp of the slate on FanDuel as it sits right now. Whereas DraftKings, I feel like that's going to get corrected. DiVincenzo, I'm okay with him. Bogdanovich, fine. DeMar, a little bit cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. Yeah, I'd be fine with him as a play. I'm just going through this real quick as well, just seeing if anyone's popping up. someone that we could potentially jump on more? No, not really. And so, yes, Sabonis is projected to play right now with the data. So if he sits, then someone like Trey Lyles would be popping up more there. Okay, so let's go ahead and give you guys kind of the first look build, the lineup process for the slate. Yeah, Chris Middleton's out, but so I'll pull up that question real quick, or really the statement there real quick. And I just wanted to use this new feature. I don't know if I can. Okay, I can't. I thought I could pull up the question there. The statement was Middleton is out. Maybe that's why Pat Connaughton is popping up more. Like, I don't disagree with that, but at the same time, let's pull up Milwaukee. Like, it's not like Grayson Allen isn't getting minutes as well, and Grayson Allen's a little bit cheaper than Pat Connaughton. They're both the exact same play, player that you would play hoping that they get hot shooting the basketball. Now, yes, Pat Connaughton has been shooting more three balls and has been making them more frequently, but I mean, would it be shocking to see? And I know it's Chicago and I know they hate Grayson Allen, but hey, last time he played them, had 21 points, and that's certainly what you'd take. I mean, that's really why people are playing Pat Connaughton, hoping for, let's say, 25 points, Like, would it be shocking to see Grayson Allen get hot from three as well? I don't know. That's what's strange about it. It's like if Pat Connaughton was high owned as well, I would think that Grayson Allen would also be, pretty chalky as well. That's where it's strange to me. But I do want to see Jingles as well. He is someone that is starting to get more minutes as well. Also the exact same play. If he can get 20 minutes or so like he did in the previous game, shot 6 3-pointers. I mean, that was more than Connaughton. That was more than Grayson Allen. We can get Jingles shooting 3 or 6 3-pointers and maybe he makes 5 of them, that's a little bit more intriguing to me. So I don't know, just an interesting play there. In general, the thought process with Connaughton being chalk is just an interesting one to me. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I thought it would be a little bit more spread out between, those 3 players. All right, but now let's go ahead and get into the lineup process. And so one player that I didn't really mention, because he didn't really pop up, is going to be Jordan Clarkson, especially on DraftKings. I think he's a very strong price point play, kind of like how Kyrie was popping up there as well, where I would say Kyrie should be priced higher, should be in the 9K price point range. I would say Jordan Clarkson is probably $400 too cheap as well. Now, given the recent production, the games are staying close too. They're not getting blown out. That's really the biggest issue with Jordan Clarkson this season has been games that are blowouts, and maybe that's part of the reason why he struggles or the team struggles is because he's struggling. But 3 straight games of over 35, fantasy points, we would take that. And it just seems like a cheap price tag. Love the fact that we can play him at both guard and or both point guard and shooting guard. Like, that's intriguing to me. So you could potentially just take the mispriced players with Kyrie here, and then also go Clarkson. And we could easily be getting, let's say, 45 DK points here and 35 DK points. And I would certainly take that as a nice floor too. I would certainly take that. I do think Washington could be someone we're looking at tonight as well. Once again, we need to get confirmation that both Booker and Payne are going to sit. If one of them plays, he's not in play. It's pretty much as simple as that. Other guards, let's see here. Edwards I'm fine with. If you end up on him, I'm fine with it. Poole, once again, just someone that you're playing on FanDuel, not on DraftKings. Fox, I don't mind. I think Fox could easily have a bounce back game. Let's go ahead and look at Jamal Murray, though. I think Jamal Murray is also a strong price point play. I think on this slate, tonight's slate, I'm going to be ending up on a couple point guards. Okay, probably 2 point guards, and then probably 2 shooting guards. I'm probably going to have 4 guards in my builds. The previous slates, for me, it seemed like I was ending up on more centers. I don't think that's the approach tonight. I think going guard heavy is going to be the approach tonight because they're just all a little bit too underpriced to me. And so continuing that, let's just see if anyone else is popping up. Fultz, I don't hate. If he can get around 30 minutes, again, could easily put up around 30 fantasy points. I do think For him to be highly productive and someone we're going out of our way to play, he needs to get more minutes than that. But more or less, someone, if you end up on him, you're fine with it. And then just trying to see if anyone else is really catching my eye as well. Reeves is finally priced down again, a little bit. $200 cheaper on tonight's slate if LeBron sits. Maybe gets a couple more shot attempts in there. And then honestly, guys, I don't mind that the Joe Ingles idea of maybe pivoting off of a chalky Pat Connaughton. I might do that. I do want to point out as well, if we get news that Alex Caruso is going to sit, someone like Kobe White would be a decent play as well. Need to get news on that first before we think about playing him. And then someone for Golden State, like value-wise, could be a decent play. Maybe Ty Jerome is someone that's popping up. I might put Washington in there for now. We'll see. I mean, obviously, it was the correct move last night. I kind of just want to roll with it again. So forward-wise, I do like Giannis at this price tag. Very cheap price tag. Coming off of a bad game against Boston. But the last time out against Chicago did almost go for 60, 57 DK points. Very strong night against them in the previous game. I think just given the cheaper price tag on him, he is someone we do need to be looking at. DeMar DeRozan, I don't hate. Obviously, he's been playing extremely well, but also he had two really strong matchups in a row. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, and that's where on FanDuel, I think he's going to be a very strong price point play. I do want to point out as well, against Milwaukee the last time out, did have a really good game as well. So I'm not saying he's priced out of the slate on DraftKings. I'm just saying on FanDuel, DeMar DeRozan does make the most sense. And I feel like it's going to be easier to put together a strong build on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings. Both the Bogdanoviches could firmly be in play, both for Atlanta. If Trae Young sits, he's someone you could look at. And then just given the injury situation for Detroit, we could be looking at around 30 fantasy points. Like, I feel like he is more or less a player that if you end up on him, the shoulder shrug play that I always mentioned, if you end up on him to close out your build, you're fine with it. So Jaden McDaniels, if Kyle Anderson sits, I do think I'll try to play him. I think we can get around 25, let's just say 20 points as a floor, and the upside to go for 30 or so DFS points. So I don't mind him. Someone I think we can end up on. Kuminga as well. Kuminga was someone that was popping up on FanDuel. Not terrible, but with Curry, Clay, and Wiggins out, it's something that should benefit there. The nice point about Isaiah Stewart is that you can play him at the forward spot. So if we do see him get around 30 minutes, it doesn't really take much for him to hit value. Okay. Obviously had a really good night shooting, and he still only shot the ball 10 times. That is not something that I like. Okay. If he shot the ball 15 times and made 8 of them and still put up 38, DK points, I would love that. But given the fact that most of the time he's been shooting the ball poorly and not really doing much DFS wise, that worries me that he just had one good night shooting and really had, a huge night DFS wise, and he's just not shooting the ball enough. Okay. That's my biggest worry with him, is that for him to really go off, he needs to be shooting the ball well. I want more shot attempts. AJ Griffin, once again, someone that could, be a decent value price point play. I don't mind TJ Warren as well. Probably going to get around 20 minutes. If he gets more than that, really would be a strong price point play. The minutes just aren't guaranteed, I would say, just yet. That's what makes him somewhat of a risky play. And honestly, I don't mind this idea. This might just be stupid, but we've seen his minutes tick up each game now. I really am hanging my hat on the 6 shot attempts from 3-point land. If he makes 4 of those, that's really good. That's about 20 DK points and at 3.3. That's interesting. But obviously Trey Lyles would be the move if we get news that Sabonis is sitting. So we got to wait and see on that. For now, I'll put Trey Lyles in there. I'll put him at the power forward. Then let's see small forward wise. Trying to just put someone in there for now. I'll just go TJ Warren. I'm fine with that. It's okay. So center wise, we do have some okay center plays. I'm having a tough time going out of my way to play really anyone. We know Aiden was really popping up there, so for now I'll pencil him in there into that build. But let's just look at some other center plays potentially. J-Val, if we get news that Zion's going to sit, then you would be looking at him. I believe he's going to play, so probably can't end up on J-Val. Thomas Bryant, I think, is still in play. I think it will benefit as well if LeBron sits, but regardless, should be a decent play. I would say the worry with Thomas Bryant was kind of that same worry with someone like Isaiah Stewart, but we have seen Thomas Bryant can be consistent as a fantasy producer because the rebounds continue to be there for him. Double is not out of the realm of possibilities. You're almost, I don't want to say you're expecting it, but if he gets a double, probably going to put up 35 fantasy points. Let's see here. Anika, I do like, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and put him into this build over Ayton. Just got in foul trouble the last 2 games. Kind of expect him to have a bounce back night. And then Robinson as well. Where is he at? Wrong one. Where is he at? I'll just type him in. So if we get news that Bam is going to sit, we would be looking at Orlando Robinson again. I saw 27 minutes in that last game, had 35 DK points. Obviously, that's huge. I don't think he's priced up enough. I think we can still begin like 25 DFS points from him. And so, yeah, he'd certainly still be in play if we get news that Bam is out. It would be a strong pivot. And so, what do you guys think? Anika, or do we go with Jalen Duren? Same price point. I'm going to go Duren. I think I like Duren a little bit more. Both are very similar plays. I would say Anika probably a little bit more upside. And we have a lot left over. We could easily fit Giannis into this build. So I do think it's very easy to fit Giannis into a build. And heck, you could probably fit Giannis and also Jokic into a build and not be stressing too much. Like it'd probably just be going down from Kyrie. You could easily make that work, I think. So I'm going to be getting out of here, guys. With no questions, the videos will go a little bit quicker, about 35-minute live stream or so. Like that's not terrible. Get the information out to you guys in a fast, easy way. I mean, 35 minutes is not too fast, but it's not too long as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the live stream. If you did, give a like and subscribe. Once again, if you guys want more live coverage, let us know. Give that thumbs up. Obviously, if you guys are coming in after this video has been posted, leave a comment in there saying, yeah, I enjoyed the live stream. So we're kind of going to be testing that out. We're going to be testing out, live streams more, or just kind of the base video that's a little bit shorter, a little bit more trimmed up, but less interaction, obviously. So let us know if you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, links are in the description below, as well as the link to the Discord chat, which once again, that goes live before lock. There's a lot of interaction in the Discord chat really throughout the day. But before lock, got a lot of slate breaking injury news that really just helps you navigate the full slate. So make sure to check that out as well. All right. Thanks for watching. Let's have a good